Section 24 of the Curious Book of Birds. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Curious Book of Birds by Abbie Farwell Brown. The Thrush and the Cuckoo. In the wonderful days of old, it is said that Christ and St. Peter went together upon a journey. It was a beautiful day in March, and the earth was just beginning to put on her summer gorgeousness. As the two travelers were passing near a great forest, they spied a thrush sitting on a tree, singing and singing as hard as he could, and he cocked his head as if he was very proud of something. St. Peter stopped at the foot of the tree and said, "I wish you a good day, thrush." "I have no time to thank you," chirped the thrush pertly. "Why not, pretty thrush?" asked St. Peter in surprise. "You have all the time in the world, and nothing to do but sing." "You mistake," cried the thrush. "I am making the summer. It is I who make the green grass grow, and the flowers bud. Look how even now the world is growing beautiful in answer to my song." And the conceited little bird continued to warble as hard as he could. "Today I shall marry, I and no other. Tomorrow my brother." Christ and St. Peter looked at each other and smiled, then went upon their way without another word, leaving the thrush to continue his task of making the summer. This was in the morning, but before midday the clouds gathered and the sky darkened, and at noon a cold rain began to drip. The poor thrush ceased his jubilant song and began to shiver in the March wind. By night the snow was falling thick and fast, and where there had been a green carpet on the earth was now spread a coverlet of snowy white. Shivering and like to die of cold, the thrush took refuge under the tree in the moss and dead leaves. He thought no more of his marriage, nor of his brothers, but only of the danger which threatened him, and of the discomfort. The next morning Christ and St. Peter, plodding through the snowdrifts, came upon him again, and St. Peter said as before, "I wish you good day, thrush." "Thank you," answered the thrush humbly, and his voice was shaky with cold and sorrow. "What do you here on the cold ground, O thrush who make the summer? And why are you so sad?" asked St. Peter. And the thrush piped feebly, "Today I must die, I and no other. Tomorrow my brother." "Oh, foolish little bird," said St. Peter. "You boasted that you made the summer. But see, the Lord's will has sent us back to the middle of winter to punish your boasting. You shall not die. He will send the sun again to warm you. But hereafter beware how you take too much credit for your little efforts." Since that time March has ever been a treacherous and changeful month. Then the thrush thinks not of marriage, but of his lesson learned in past days, and wraps himself in his warmest feathers, waiting for the Lord's will to be done. He is no longer boastful in his song, but sings it humbly and sweetly to the Lord's glory, thanking him for the summer which his goodness sends every year to happy bird and beast and child of man. Now, after this adventure with the thrush, Christ and St. Peter went upon their journey for many miles. At last, weary and hungry, they passed a baker's shop. From the window came the smell of new warm bread baking in the oven, and Christ sent St. Peter to ask the baker for a loaf. But the baker, who was a stingy fellow, refused. "Go away with you," he cried. "I give no bread to lazy beggars." "I ask it for my master, who has traveled many miles and is most faint and weary," said St. Peter. But the baker frowned and shook his head, then strode into the inner shop, banging the door after him. The baker's wife and 6 daughters were standing at one side when these things happened, and they heard all that took place. They were generous and kind-hearted bodies, and tears stood in their eyes at the baker's rough words. As soon as he had gone out, they wrapped up the loaf and gave it stealthily to St. Peter, saying, "Take the loaf for your master, good man, and may he be refreshed by it." St. Peter thanked and blessed them and took the loaf to Christ. And for their charity, the Lord set these good women in the sky as the 7 stars. You may see them to this day, shining in love upon the sleeping world. But the wicked baker he changed into a cuckoo, and as long as he sings his dreary song, "Cuckoo, cuckoo," in the spring, So long the 7 stars are visible in the heaven, so folks say. End of section 24. Recorded by Jundia.